right, hello and welcome to another Expert Insight interview. My name is John Golden from SalesPOP, online sales magazine and Pipeliner CRM, joining you as usual from a sunny San Diego. And today I'm delighted to be joined from down under in Australia, in lovely Brisbane, by Matt Raad. How are you doing, Matt?
Very well, thanks, John. It's fantastic to be here.
Yeah, and Matt has spent 27 years challenging traditional career paths and creating financial independence through digital investments. He and his wife Liz are website investors. They were one of the first to pioneer the strategy of buying, building, and selling websites as cash flow assets. And starting with nothing, you built a multi-million-dollar portfolio by applying your business expertise into business acquisitions in the digital world. And today, through their eBusiness Institute, they train people every day, including corporate professionals, solopreneurs, and side hustlers, how to generate income online and reclaim their time. So, Matt, what got you and Liz into this in the first place? I mean, I presume it's probably for the same reason why a lot of people come to you to learn how to do it for themselves.
Yeah, it's a great question, John. I guess like a lot of your listeners, or like you just said, we were looking for financial independence. So Liz and I met at uni studying zoology, would you believe? So we were meant to be experts in red kangaroos. That's literally what we're both studying. But
You were going to be Steve Irwins, were you?
we were, but with red kangaroos. So that was our honours year. And what we both realised, both of us grew up in the country in rural Australia, and I wanted financial independence, and Liz wanted location independence. So this was before those words were bandied around, but
Yeah.
we're very young, I guess, idealistic, and for me in particular, I was very driven to generate or become financially independent because I grew up so poor, like a lot of people did back in the 70s. And I always knew business would be it, but I just didn't know how to run a business or build a business. And so what we did, when we got together, we had an opportunity to buy a small little manufacturing business, which we just jumped straight into. We didn't even think about it. And we made every single mistake under the sun. We were young and very silly. We relied on the advice of a local country accountant who literally had his accountancy practice next to the pub in town. And you walk in and he'd be smoking, chain smoking. And he said, "Oh, Matt, this is a great business. You should buy it," like that sort of a thing. And it was shocking. It was within a week, we realized why he's always in the pub, because it was totally wrong. He was probably drunk when he gave us the advice. And the reason I tell that story is because the business nearly went bankrupt. Within a week of owning it, we realized this thing's going bankrupt. And we'd been given the wrong advice by our alcoholic accountant at the time, because we knew no business people, and that's why we picked him. And in a country town, you go to the bigwig guy, and that was him. And so what we realized was we were out of our depth. No one in our family is from business. And so we just were self-taught. And I think for your listeners here, considering we're on the SalesPOP, the awesome SalesPOP podcast here, the way we turned that around was through sales. We read books. We read all the old-time greats, Tom Hopkins, Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, and all we went for, and the reason I'm coming to this point now with online businesses, we do exactly the same strategy. We just went for cash flow. That was it.
Right.
We just wanted to get sales up. We didn't bother trying to cut expenses or anything like that. We just went purely for cash flow for sales. And to this day, out of all that story, what drives us and why we teach people is, don't make the same mistakes we did with due diligence. We're really, really passionate about that. And learn sales, because you can use sales to turn around any business. So since then, we went on and bought and sold lots of businesses, bricks and mortar. And then around 2008, we started a family. And basically it was Liz that came up with the idea, well, why don't we just do what we do with bricks and mortar business, but online? And it's heaps easier online. And it's heaps easier to do due diligence because everything's tracked. And that's basically our story in a nutshell.
Yeah. And so now you teach people like they can side hustles, you can replace your income in 12 months with websites. And we're living in a time now when, as you said, I mean, online is everything. The gig economy is booming. What you said, location independence is something that, the majority of people almost want nowadays. Even if they're in a corporate situation, they still want to live
Yeah.
where they want to live.
Yeah.
So what is your approach to, if somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, listen, Matt, I'm sick of the corporate grind. I want to go out on my own. I want to do
Yeah.
this, but I'm a little unsure whether I can or whether I'm able to."
I love it. Firstly, you've got to. My advice to that there's a bit to this. The end goal is to learn how to, if you want to say buy online businesses or own online businesses, the first step is understanding how they work. So a lot
Mhm.
of people don't truly get it, and they don't realize the opportunities right in front of them. So John, you would be amazed at how simple little, seemingly innocuous websites make their owners, let's not say fortunes, but make them lots of money month in, month out. So, might be a couple of grand a month, might be
Yeah.
10,000 a month, might be 30,000 a month. So understanding how those people are doing that and seeing the opportunities and understanding basically how websites work. And to do that, I think a really smart thing to do if you're listening to this and you're new to the online business space, this sounds kind of bit strange. The first step is learning how to build a website. That's one of
Mhm.
the things we've noticed over the years. So we've just kind of cottoned onto this a bit. We've been coaching people in this since 2010. And what we've realized when we look back at the journey, our students who are the most successful are the ones who don't want to get rich quick. Like, they're prepared to learn how to do it, and they learn how to build a website. And in doing that, they're understanding how websites work, how they get traffic, but most importantly, how they're monetized as well. And that's probably the first step. I know it
Yeah.
sounds a little bit boring learning how to build a website, but as a mentor, I keep joking to people. I say, look, just you've got to go with me on this one. Just calm down and learn that, and then it's a journey. And I'll just throw in one other
Yeah,
thing, just for
please.
your listeners, because John's tapped into something. Our specialty is we do coach people transitioning out of corporate, and the other bit of advice I guess I would give is don't quit your corporate job straight away.
Mhm.
Learn to do this in the evenings as a side hustle. I think that's really important this day and age, especially with financial security. And I'd say that as well because we've seen people, when they've got financial security, they make a lot smarter decisions and it's a
Mm.
lot easier. So there's not the stress. If you just go and quit
Right.
your job and try and do this overnight, you don't know really what you're doing. Don't do what Liz and I did all those years ago
Yeah.
and quit your famous university red kangaroo career and buy a business. That was not a smart move in hindsight.
Yeah, yeah. You never tried selling red kangaroos online, I guess, no?
No, we can't.
Um,
Sadly, there is no way to make money out of red kangaroos
yeah.
online.
But one interesting thing, coming back to what you said about building the websites and learning how to build websites. I mean, the good news, I guess, for people is that it's a lot easier today than it once was. Once upon a time, I mean,
Absolutely.
if you go
Yeah.
back to when you first started, I mean, you were still learning HTML or using some of those
Yes.
tools that
Yep.
were really difficult, and
Shock.
you still had to be, even those tools that you could use to create websites, you still had to know how to troubleshoot them,
Yep.
how to tweak them. I mean, that's all gone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's changed dramatically. When we first started online, anyone that's a bit technical will remember that Liz. I was hopeless at websites. I did not like computers,
Mhm.
um, and so when we started online, Liz hand built her first website with
Yeah.
HTML with a program called Dreamweaver. So
Yeah,
people
yeah.
probably remember
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
so you know Dreamweaver, all
oh,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's going to break out into a sweat in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're listening, hear what John said. He was really technical, and
Yeah.
I was not good. When what what was the turning point for us? We actually started buying sites, and when WordPress came in, so we teach
Mhm.
people to build sites on WordPress. And over the years, of course, that's become incredibly. It's basically click and drag, but I will say, there is still a technical hurdle to overcome. It is a new world for a lot of our. So, John, for someone like yourself, you obviously understand it, and that's the bit that we love teaching beginners on. Someone coming from a full time, corporate role or whatever,
Mhm.
or working in a full time job, they've never used computers beyond using an Excel spreadsheet or email.
Yeah.
That's the bit. That's kind of the first hurdle. Even in this day and age, as easy it is to build a website now, there is, just if you're listening to this, there is still a technical hurdle to get over.
Mhm.
It's more mindset though. Once you get it, what we find is, we've got top level lawyers that absolutely suddenly realized, wow, this is so creative. It's, it's a lot of fun. I'm just thinking of a couple of lawyer clients of ours who suddenly have discovered they build beautiful websites. They're really creatively,
Yeah.
put together. So, but it is that little, what we try and do is just get people over that technological hurdle. And like you said, it's a lot easier, particularly with AI now.
Hmm.
It's becoming, in my opinion, a lot easier than what it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. So when you get that first step, okay, you're going to learn how to build, learn how to build a website so you understand how websites
Mhm.
work. What's the next step?
I think then it's doing, if you're interested in owning, say, uh, a range of websites like we did and build up a portfolio of websites, I think then the next step is understanding how to do website due diligence
Hmm.
and doing practice due diligence. So, like with share traders, when people learn how to trade
Sure.
shares, they call it paper trading.
Hmm.
You do practice trades
Yeah.
and things like that. The good news is these days, again, when we started, we couldn't do this. We had to figure all this stuff out ourselves because there was no brokers for websites out there. But these days, you can go to any of the website brokers. We recommend you start at flipper.com because they give you all the data and you can practice due diligence. So don't buy unless you know what you're doing.
Right.
But you will see really good websites on there that make $1,000 a month or $5,000 a month net. And so what we recommend is just do practice due diligences. We call it reps, reps, reps. Just practice, practice. Just go through, see how they're making the money, reverse engineer them, the sites, look at how they're working and go, okay, could I do that? Or do I have the team in place? Learn what it takes to run these sites, because you do need a bit of a team, not much, like one or two people. And then it comes down to you deciding, what's your budget, what's your goals. That's the most important thing. Is this something that you need to quit your job? Are you doing this to replace real estate investments that you might have? We have a lot of clients who are real estate investors, and everyone maxes out at some point with real estate with the banks. So how big do you want to go? And what we're doing in that paper trading phase, we're leading to getting people to buy their first site, and that should be a small one, like
Right. Right.
under $5,000. So that
Right. I was going to ask you, like, what's your minimum
yeah,
investment, do you think?
just practice. And I know we've got clients that rush out there and buy six-figure websites straight away. I don't think that's the way to do it. We like people, because we're helping people transition safely. You want to
Yeah.
be safe these days. You don't want to be risking. And as I get older, I become, what I say is you get more successful, you become more risk averse.
Sure.
And it's funny, I'm becoming more conservative on this. You can hear when we were young, we just went for it. But I think realistically, because you can, why wouldn't you practice on a little tiny $5,000 website? Don't go
Right.
and spend 50 grand or 100 grand or 5 million or whatever. It's not like bricks and mortar world. So we come from, when you buy a bricks and mortar business, you're pretty much, to get anything decent, you're in the six figures here in
Yeah.
Australia. You go into the
Mhm.
bank, borrowing money. Whereas with websites, you don't have to do any of that. You can buy a site that's working and learn the ropes on a $5,000 website. Is it going to be perfect? No, but it's safe. You think, John, what does it cost to go to a lawyer or a
Yeah.
drunk accountant when you're buying a bricks and mortar business? You're going to blow 5 grand there
Mhm.
anyway.
And so
So
and so give me a give us an idea of what would a business what would a business be like a $5,000 one, and what would you be getting for your money?
it it would probably just make $50 to $100 a month,
Mhm.
but it's a learning experience. And what it is, it could be the opportunity to turn that website around and then sell it later on, or you can at least just sell it again for 5 grand. But that's actually a really good question. That there's two parts to that. Generally, websites are valued just like bricks and mortar
Mhm.
businesses on a three times multiple, just as a
Right.
starting point. So if it makes, $1,000 a month, let's say it makes 10 grand a year
Yeah.
net profit, not sales, $10,000 a year, then it will sell for anywhere up, say, $20,000 to $30,000, two to three times multiple.
Mhm.
So when we get to quite small, they're probably not making much money, but the sweet spot in our community is buying some of those small websites under 50,000, because people neglect them. Because typically someone's selling them off. They own a portfolio of websites, right? And they get rid of all the small stuff and they focus on the big ones. And that's what you should be doing if you're listening to this. I shouldn't say should be doing. I'm not giving financial advice, am I?
Mhm.
I'm just saying that's a smart strategy is to run with your winners. So you
Right.
can pick up bargain little sites that people have neglected. They're not making much money and they just flick them off. And then our guys, when you know, this is the beauty of understanding what you're doing with them, how to renovate them, you can build them up over, say, a year or two. It does take time to build them up. You don't just build them up straight away.
Sure.
But we've had some amazing success stories where, so I often quote this one is Nathan and Alexa, they're coaches of ours. They bought a gardening site here in Australia. The guy, they'd noticed he hadn't posted on it for about a year or two. So they just emailed him and said, this is how they learnt off us. This is how we used to buy lots of sites. We buy these neglected sites. They just did a personal approach. This wasn't on a broker platform. And they said, we noticed you're not doing anything with the website. Do you want to sell it? He said, sure, $400. And it was just a gardening site with some traffic on it. They built that up. That site now gets 80,000 visitors a month, and it's
Wow.
making them around $4,000 a month. So, and that's
Wow.
semi-passive. So Nathan and Alexa aren't gardeners; they're laptop lifestyles. They live off in front of a computer screen type thing, and they've just got 2 writers that work on it with them. That's the sort of bargain, and there's no risk. So to a young couple, $400 is not a lot of risk.
Yeah.
It's time and energy. I guess in a way, the main risk when you're buying sites under $5,000 is just your knowledge risk. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good example. So that's a gardening site. Other examples of
Gardening.
like of ones like that?
Yeah, well, the other ones that are really good. I need to be careful because I know people are worried about content sites, but they still work. You would
Mhm.
be absolutely amazed, even in this day and age of AI. In fact, sites like that, what we recommend is buy what we call passion sites,
Yeah.
because AI can't. People are looking for real passionate advice, and typically, like that gardening site, if you try and look at, you don't even find it on Google. But people don't realize the opportunity out there. Some of these sites, the beauty of the small ones is they can be almost invisible on Google, but they still make, we're not saying life-changing amounts of money. Maybe they just make $1,000 a month or
Sure.
something. But if you own 10 of those, that's your income replaced and you're working from home. And everything's amortized because you've got the same team members working across your 10 websites. These days we actually recommend just focus on 3 to 5 websites when you're getting going. And that's really all you need. 3 to 5 really good websites can make you a really nice 6-figure income. So that's the beauty of starting out with smaller sites. The risk is very low. You can do it part-time in the evening. And what we recommend, sorry, coming back to your question, is even in this day and age of AI and the way the search engines are working with AI,
Yeah.
what we're finding is the passion sites are still working really well. So a really good example where we've got lots of success stories in our community is travel blogs, because they're
Mhm.
the ultimate passion site.
Yeah.
Someone, traveling
Yeah.
around Australia. So we've got another young couple, Chris and Beck. That's all they do. They travel around Australia in a 4-wheel drive bus. They blog about it and they make 6 figures off that. Literally living the dream.
Yeah, and what's great about that is like that's something AI can't do because a AI can't have that human experience. It can't communicate that
Right.
human experience, and as you said, with and I guess as things progress, people, especially when people are really interested in a certain subject or an area like a niche subject, is that they will be looking for the as you said, the passion
Real.
sites,
Yes.
because otherwise it's just going to be a sea of information that could be generated by anybody. It's like, would you really what would you do? Would you take a recommendation on a hotel from AI or from somebody who stayed there?
Yeah, that's what Chris and Beck are finding. And what's really interesting, John, is for them, because their site is so real and they've got a social media following that's obviously real. Corporates are now coming to them. They get paid to go to, like, the last place. The corporates are doing sponsorship with them because
Right.
they know they've got a captive micro audience of keen travelers. So they've had free trips, fully paid trips to Dubai. They get given stuff, but they get paid corporate sponsorship. So
Yeah.
travel insurance, and it's exactly what you said, because they're real and they can talk about places. They're following, listens to them, takes their recommendations. And now, so it used to be affiliate marketing was quite big, where you get
Sure.
affiliate commissions, say off hotels.
Hmm.
But what they've said in the travel niche, and we've seen this with other clients as well, it's now the direct corporate sponsors, like
Direct.
outright, just quietly behind the scenes. Obviously, they've got a manager, and they say to sites like that, okay, you got a niche following. This can happen in any niche, by the way. So we've had websites in sporting niches like golf and things like that. Same thing. The corporates just quietly come in, and they can be big and small businesses, and they say, how much for a banner ad each month? And it might be
Right.
$200, which doesn't sound a lot, but that's just $200 guaranteed every single month in your bank account. But in the bigger spaces, like it can go to $10,000 to $20,000 a month.
Yeah. And then just tell me quickly, how do you, so you get maybe you buy one or two or three of these small sites. So what do they do then to build them up? What's the work involved in actually getting it to be more, to
Yep.
generate more income?
There's a bit to it. Like that's the fun creative part that people need to learn. And that's why people say, how long does this take? Well, you can literally go and buy a website right now that makes 10 grand a month. There's like on Flipper right now, there's over 300 that make that sort of money. But don't do that, because the bit that's going to take it, the journey is exactly what you just said, is learning how to do what you said, how you build them up. And that
Mhm.
typically takes our people a year or so to learn. And what we do when we get a website, we do an initial makeover. That's really important. So we're doing this during the due diligence process, where we're looking at the traffic and the profit and
Yeah.
figuring out how can we improve those. So as soon as we take it over, we let it settle. Then we do an initial makeover. Typically, it's make it look better so that it converts. So we figure out where the traffic's coming to the website and what do we want the conversions to be, and we work on that, because most neglected sites are shocking on the monetization side, and there's really, really easy wins there. I'll share the best one that I love in recent years. One of our clients, Dave and Connor, the father and son team, bought a pet blog. Seriously, if you saw it, you would have no idea that this thing netted $300,000 a year. They
Wow.
paid $1 million for it, so 3 times. But wait till you hear all they did. The main fix up on that website was changing the ad network to to an ad manager and they automate optimizing the ads. And I think that one was Raptive. There's 3 main big ones.
Mhm.
That one, Raptive, is particularly good. There's also a Zoic. But when they changed over to that, the net profit jumped up to $600,000 a year, just
Wow.
because it was a huge website. And so optimizing the monetization and optimizing the click through rates is a huge win on most sites, especially passion sites.
Yeah.
And then the one is fixing up the traffic. So these days, that's about SEO, like search, not search engine it's search everywhere optimization.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
build in multiple channels now.
Mhm.
It's all changing, and that's the exciting part. And I think that's where there's the biggest opportunities going forward.
Yeah.
People that are smart with that, we're going to rock it.
Yeah, and then so this has been really interesting. So just tell me, Matt, tell me like how then how then you help, like if somebody wants to, work with you, how do you help somebody through this process?
So we have a home study program, like study online course called the Digital Investors Program, and we've run that for many, many years. And we teach people, particularly beginners. It's not for advanced people, but we teach
Mhm.
beginners how to do due diligence and build up a portfolio of websites, and that's our
Mm.
specialty here at eBusiness. We also teach people how to build digital agencies as well, because that's going to be a huge opportunity going into the future.
Mhm.
And we've had some really good success stories with that as well. So we kind of teach people how to set themselves up for transitioning out of their highly paid careers. That's our specialty. So we run mainly digital investors program, and we've got some high level coaching that we do as well. And we love it. It's great fun.
Yeah, yeah, no, it sounds fantastic. It's fascinating. Thank you so much. There's a lot of great insights there. All of Matt's information will be below this video. So thanks
Thank you.
again, Matt, and hopefully, we'll see some people working with you. It just seems like a great process you have built out there, and it's like as you said, it's an area that is you can do great things with, but if you don't know what you're doing, you can be like talking to a drunken accountant in a pub, right?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, we don't want that. That's what we're passionate about, making sure people understand how to do due diligence. That's
Yeah.
super important. So thank
All
you,
right.
John. That was unreal.
All right. Thank you, Matt. And thank you for watching and listening. And see you all again
Awesome.
soon.